It's funny, really. Buying a security camera to ease your fears, only to have it deepen them. Unfortunately, that's exactly what's happened with mine. Let me back up. Last March, my wife Ridley and I bought our first home. We're just a couple of 25-year-olds, thrilled to have snagged a century-old colonial in a secluded neighborhood outside a Midwestern city. A bargain. The previous owner had passed away, and his son accepted our low offer. 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, oak floors, a grand stone fireplace, and a master bedroom that spanned the entire attic. We couldn't believe our luck, but that initial excitement faded. Strange things started happening, starting with one terrifying night on September 27th at 2:30 a.m. "Babe, I think someone's downstairs," I whispered to Ridley as I shook her awake. My heart was pounding. I heard faint, creaking footsteps on the old oak floors. Our dog, Honey, let out a low growl. Then I heard whispers just under the creaks, chilling and almost familiar, like echoes of a forgotten language. Turns out, it was a friend. Drunk and too cheap for a ride home, he'd let himself in with a spare key. In the morning, we laughed about it, but Ridley and I changed the locks and installed a motion-activated security camera in the living room, just in case. But that wasn't the story. It's what's been happening lately that's truly terrifying. October 27th, 3:30 m. Ridley and I were out with friends, including the one who had broken in. When we got home, my heart sank. The door was unlocked. My phone chimed. "Your camera has detected motion. Recording in progress." I turned the key, Ridley huddling close behind me, and pushed the door open. Clothes were strewn across the floor, as if someone had been frantically searching for something. Honey cowered in the corner, shaking and growling, eyes wide with terror. And every single candle in the house was lit. One on the coffee table, one in the downstairs bathroom, 2 in the dining room, more upstairs, even in the attic. Every flickering flame cast long, trembling shadows, yet nothing was taken. Not the cash on the table, not our electronics, not even a single item was missing. My hands were trembling as I remembered the footage. I opened the app, desperate to see who or what had done this. But the video showed only emptiness. A perfectly still room until Ridley and I entered. What should have been the recording of that strange, chaotic scene. It was like it never existed. Then, on November 23rd, just past noon, we were at my in-laws for Thanksgiving. My phone buzzed. "Your camera has detected motion. Recording in progress." But the house was empty. "Please, tell me no one's in there." My voice shook as I fumbled with my phone, launching the security app with trembling fingers. The camera feed loaded, pointed at the front door, with a wide view of the living room, windows, and stairwell. A flicker in the live stream made my pulse quicken. I replayed the recording, heart pounding in my chest. Nothing. Just 15 long minutes of still silent footage of our empty living room. My father-in-law shrugged it off, chalking it up to shifting sunlight, shadows. I told myself it was just the new camera acting up. Still, something felt wrong. Later, back at home, it was nearly midnight. Ridley was upstairs showering. Our dog, Honey, dozed lazily on the bathroom floor. I poured myself one last drink in the kitchen, just to steady my nerves. That's when my phone chimed again. 11:03. "Your camera has detected motion. Recording in progress." I was right there, next to the living room. Maybe it just picked up my movement. 11:04. "Your camera has detected motion. Recording in progress." My stomach dropped. I opened the video, the eerie infrared glow filling the screen. Nothing. Just an empty room. I leaned into the doorway to the living room, tilting my head to catch a glimpse into the darkened space. Still nothing. I switched to the live feed to test the camera. I waved a hand in front of it and saw my image, pale and ghostly, glowing on the screen. 11:05. "Your camera has detected motion. Recording in progress." I stepped forward. The video stuttered, the picture growing grainy, like something was interfering. Another step, and the screen froze, the image fractured. One more step, the video went black. The room was consumed in darkness. I felt a chill against the back of my neck, and my breath misted in front of me. Your camera has detected motion. Recording in progress. My phone vibrated in my hand, lighting up and going dark in rapid succession. I stared, frozen. A shadow moved on the screen, shifting just behind me. I could feel it, someone standing there, close enough to touch. I stumbled backward, hitting the light switch, flooding the room in cold, sterile brightness. Nothing. No one. After 10 minutes of pacing the room, searching, I finally made it upstairs. I could hear Ridley grumbling about the shower's temperature, which kept getting scalding hot, no matter how much she turned it down. I forced a smile, too shaken to tell her what had happened, and climbed into bed, hoping for peace and sleep. But my curiosity gnawed at me. After Ridley fell asleep, I unlocked my phone, pulled up the security app, and pressed play on the latest recording. This time it was there. The shadow, the figure with black, bottomless eyes standing just behind me. I wasn't alone that night. The video stopped, my heart still racing as I stared at the darkness where the black-eyed figure had been. And I knew, deep down, that I had let it in. I can only describe it as almost a man. The image on my phone screen paralyzed me, my stomach churning as fear took hold. Behind me stood a tall, skeletal figure, at least a foot taller than me, its claw-like fingers brushing the nape of my neck. Its eyes, black as a starless void, darker than any shadow I'd ever seen, stared directly at me, absorbing every glint of light like a bottomless pit. They weren't just looking at me. They were in me, digging into my soul. And then there was the smile. A wide, jagged grin stretched impossibly across its face, teeth like serrated fangs stitched together, grinning from ear to ear. But worse than the smile was its gaze. It wasn't watching me from when I'd been standing in the room. It was staring at me through the camera. It knew I would watch. It was waiting. A surge of horror flooded me, and I knew I had to show Ridley. I pressed pause, fingers hovering over the screen, ready to capture the image. And then it moved. On the paused video, the figure shifted, tilting its head to the side, its dark eyes still fixed on me as if sizing me up, studying me. My body remained frozen in the video, unmoving, logical. But this thing was walking. It prowled through my living room, its grin unwavering, each step twisting and contorting its lanky, skeletal body as if it had too many joints. A horrible static hiss filled my ears, accompanied by the sickening crackle of bones. Then it dropped down, crawling across the floor like a grotesque insect, limbs bending at unnatural angles. In a sudden jerking motion, it scuttled like a cockroach startled by light toward the opening of my fireplace. I blinked, disbelief freezing my limbs. And then I ran. Downstairs, I slammed the fireplace doors shut, my mind reeling. I hadn't even realized they'd been open. The fireplace is huge, bigger than it looks. The previous owner installed fireproof masonry and added large wooden mantles to make it look normal. But it had an ash dump beneath, a small trapdoor that allowed ash to fall into a chute built into the walls below. We'd been warned never to use it. The chute in the basement had corroded over time, making it a fire hazard. But now, the realization clawed at my mind. That thing was in our walls. By this point, Ridley and Honey were behind me, both looking alarmed. "What's going on?" Ridley asked, her voice quivering. I tried to speak, my words tumbling out in a frantic mess. Something about the man in the fireplace. Ridley tried to calm me, suggesting I'd fallen asleep and was caught in a nightmare. She coaxed Honey back upstairs, convinced I'd just had a bad dream. But I couldn't shake it. I had to know if that thing had left any trace. Once they went to bed, I grabbed my flashlight and approached the fireplace. I scanned the firebox, nothing. I pointed the beam up the chimney, finding only soot and charred brick. Then I opened the ash dump, pressing down on the small trapdoor. A putrid stench hit me, rotting and foul, forcing me to stifle a gag. I shone my flashlight down into the chute, catching only a glimpse of the blackened, crumbling walls. And then, I heard it. A low, animalistic hiss echoed up from the depths, something alive, something that recoiled away from the light. I stumbled backward, my pulse thundering in my ears. And that's when I heard it move. I jumped back, slamming the glass door shut. That's it. It hates the light. The black-eyed man recoils from the harsh LED beam, shrinking away like it's being burned. My hand shook as I set the flashlight on the table, aiming its bright beam at the fireplace. This light was my only shield. I couldn't let him get out. Grabbing every flashlight and battery I could find, I camped there, keeping a relentless vigil over that beam of light. Sleep clawed at me, and finally, I dozed off, my head on the cold floor. That night, the dream felt disturbingly real. I was back in my house, but everything was brand new, pristine. A man stood in the living room, tall and dark-eyed, dressed in clothing from the early 1900s. He paced back and forth, feeding logs into the fireplace, stoking the flames higher. But then I saw it. Those weren't logs. They were limbs. Human limbs. He was carelessly burning flesh in my home, turning the room into an inferno. I screamed, but he only turned, tilting his head, flashing that same horrible, toothy smile, his black eyes boring into me. November 24th, 3:33 a.m. Your camera has detected motion. Recording in progress. The chime jolted me awake, my bones stiff with cold. My fingers fumbled for my phone to watch the recording. My heart pounded as I opened the video. No, this couldn't be right. It was Ridley, standing in the living room. But next to her was him. The black-eyed man, holding her hand, slowly leading her to the fireplace. Ridley! I screamed, desperation tearing through me. But to my shock and relief, she came running down the stairs, looking bewildered. "What's wrong?" she asked, eyes wide with concern. I stammered, "You? You were here, in the living room, with him." She looked confused. "What are you talking about? What video?" I opened my phone again, searching frantically for the video. But it was gone, no trace, no recording, nothing. I was left with a cold sweat and a sinking dread as she left for work. A lingering chill wrapping around my bones. November 25th, 3:33 a.m. Your camera has detected motion. The video showed. Me. I was turning off the flashlight, unscrewing light bulbs, smashing them one by one, a crazed look on my own face. My stomach dropped, and I glanced at the table. My flashlight was still there, still shining, still trained on the fireplace. I didn't remember doing any of that. But why was it so cold? November 26th. Ridley and Honey left to stay with relatives. I'm here alone, teeth chattering. I can't let the light go out. I can't let it get out. I feel my sanity fraying, the cold biting deeper, like it's reaching into my soul. I wrap myself in blankets, but they do nothing to warm me. All that's left is the flashlight and the endless biting cold. November 27th, 3:33 another notification. Your camera has detected motion. In the footage, I see myself again. But this time, I'm with Ridley and Honey, warm by the fire in the living room. The fire crackles, filling the room with light and warmth. But here I sit, trembling, frozen to the bone. Why am I still so cold? November 28th. I can't fight it anymore. I'm so tired. I just want to feel warm. I dream of them coming home, of us huddling by the fire, basking in the heat. It's just too cold. My hands move on their own, lighting the logs in the fireplace. The flames grow, casting an inviting warmth. I let the flashlight go. I don't need it. The fire will keep me safe. As the flames lick higher, I feel a strange warmth creeping over me. I close my eyes, letting the heat lull me into sleep. Soon Ridley and Honey will be here, and we'll be together, warm by the fire. The cold can't touch me now.